Okay, hey again, everyone. It's Emma here with Amanda, and we are going to be doing a webinar today all about tasking. So thanks so much for joining in. Just want to do a little introduction before I give away to Amanda, and I am recording, so I'm glad I remembered that. So hopefully everyone can see my screen. I'm just sharing that for now. Just a couple of slides I want to pop us through before we begin. So welcome, of course, to The Joy of Tasks, a webinar all about what everyone is doing. Just go to my next screen here. Of course, your fabulous presenter today is going to be Amanda. I will be co-piloting and I will be answering your questions as we go. So do be encouraged to type them in to the GoToWebinar control panel. Now, if you ask a question and you don't get answered right away, please don't panic or feel that you're being ignored. I will do my best to answer questions as quickly as I can. And questions that are suitable for Amanda to answer in session, I will make sure that she does. Excellent. All right, what's my next slide here? As I fail with my PDF. My goodness, it's going to be like that for me today. All right, here we go. The agenda. So the agenda that Amanda's going to take us through today is learning how to make it easy for your staff to know what's on their plate, managing your own day-to-day tasks, using schedules to action tasks in a multi-phase job, using the resource allocation tool to distribute work amongst your team and distribute tasks according to workloads, and easily track your work in progress. All right, Amanda, are you ready?
I am so ready.
Okay, well, let me figure out how to make you the presenter now. Let's see. I already had my mouse fail on me today, but it failed on me before the session started, so that's a good sign.
Oh, I can just steal it from you. I can see it
Oh,
here. Make
well,
oh,
look at you.
show
Oh,
my
wow, look at
screen.
us.
Can you see it?
I can see your screen. That is wonderful. And I see your dashboard.
Beautiful. Okay.
Excellent. Take it
So,
away.
without further ado then, thank you, Emma. I will begin. So, I want to start a little bit by talking about the definition of tasks in the system, just so that we all kind of know what we're talking about here. A task and function point is really the most specific way to break down work within the system. So at the highest level, we have companies, and then companies can have multiple projects. So a project would be a grouping of related jobs, things like a campaign or an event. And then within projects, we have standalone jobs. So that's the next level down. And a job is a thing like a print ad or a website. It's an item of work. And then jobs are made up of services that we perform in order to get the job done. And the level below that is the task. So with a task, you can take a service like copywriting, for example, and assign it to a specific person and attach a specific due date to it so the person can then track time at that level. And you can also break tasks down into an unlimited number of subtasks, which can get really handy if you've got really um, huge jobs with nitty-gritty schedules and you want to have like parent tasks and child tasks and all of that. That is something that you can do with them as well. So where do I create a task in the system? Well, there are a few different ways that you can do it depending on what it is that you want to do. And the first one that I want to tell you about is the quick task. So to get there, I'm going to go away from my custom dashboard where I am right now and go back to that classic dashboard. So everyone's going to have access to a dashboard similar to this in addition to any custom ones that you've made here. So I'm just going to click classic there to get back to my main classic one. And on that, I have a tasks and to-dos list. So this is my main place that I go to manage my work. And on this tasks and to-dos list, I have a quick task button. So I can use that for a really quick one-off task that needs to be done right away. Maybe it's attached to a job, maybe it isn't. Maybe I just want to remind myself to go pick up my dry cleaning. I would use a quick task if I was going to do that same kind of thing. So for this one, I'm going to say that I want Emma to bake us a treat. And it's going to be due tomorrow at 9 a.m. And it's extremely high priority that she does this.
Are you picking on me again today, Amanda? Is that how this is going to go?
I thought that's why you were here, Emma.
Oh, well, yes, that's accurate. Let's let everyone know. Yes, I'm here to be picked on. I can't bake, but
No,
I'll
no,
let you
no.
keep going. You keep going.
No, I'm going to pick on Omar next, so don't worry. It's not just going to be you.
Fantastic.
So I could just leave it at that if I wanted to. If I hit show more, though, I could actually attach this to a job if that were relevant to a job, which it's not, or a schedule, an existing schedule. if I wanted her to be able to track time to it, I could attach it to a service. I would, of course, need to have a job in there if I was going to do that, though. And I could upload a recipe for her if I had a particular thing in mind. But I'm just going to go ahead and submit that. So now I've submitted that quick task, and I'm actually logged in as Emma in Safari, I believe. So let me just open up that browser here. Yep, here I am, Emma, and if I refresh that, we should see that task in her to-dos list when it loads. And there it is. So she could then mark that as in progress or completed or confirmed or canceled, because she's like, no way, Amanda, I'm totally not going to do that. And that is the quick task. So before I move on to the next way of creating a task in the system, does anyone have any questions that I should address Emma about what a task is or why I might use a quick task and how I might go about creating a quick task?
Great. Thanks, Amanda, for checking in. We've had a quiet bunch so far, so they may just be feeling shy. Oh, and then we get a question. We have had one request so far. I thought your volume was fine, but I've heard from someone if we could maybe get your volume a little up. So thank you, Eric, for feeding that
Okay.
in. Apologies. If anyone does want us to be louder or quieter, as the case may be, let us know. So thanks for that, Eric. But no questions so far. I really like what you've said so far, and that made a lot of sense. So well said. And everyone, if you do have questions, just feel free to chime in. But
Cool.
thanks, Amanda.
Thanks,
Feel free
Emma.
to keep going.
How's that volume now? Is that a little bit louder?
I think it is, but hopefully
Okay.
Eric will let us know if it isn't, or anyone else can let us know if we need you to speak up. So,
Sure.
oh, and now we have a different Eric. We have that was Eric with a K at the beginning. Now we've got Eric with a C. How many Erics are on today's call? Um, Good question that's come in, and I'm not sure if you want to answer this one yet. A little bit about giving tasks to multiple people. Is that something you're going to talk a little bit about? I mean, I can always talk a little bit about that towards the end if you would like. Um, Maybe let's Eric with a C. That's a good one. Let's come back to you because I think there's probably a better time in Amanda's presentation that we can address that, or I'm happy to address that as well because I wrote a document all about that one.
Okay, yeah, I may pass that one off to you at the end of the session
Yeah,
then, Emma, if that's
I
okay
can
with
do.
you.
Yeah,
So
absolutely, absolutely. So Eric with a
excellent
C, hang
question.
tight. We'll come back to that.
Okay, so the next thing I'm going to talk about are ad hoc tasks. So the quick task is one way to add a single task pretty quickly. Um, If, for example, though, I wanted to attach a task to a job, but I didn't want to do a whole bunch of tasks. I only wanted to do one. So maybe I've got like a maintenance job, for example, and tasks for this job sort of trickle in on an as-needed basis. I would use an ad hoc job for that. So, sorry, an ad hoc task, pardon me. So to do that, I'm going to go to my job, and for this one, I am back in my own dashboard. Yes, I am. Okay, good. I'm going to go to the job details page, and since we're getting close to Valentine's Day, I am going to go to my Valentine's promo brochure. And now to add a task to this job, I have an Add Task button on this page right here. And I can click that, and it will bring me up to a very similar screen to what I saw for the quick task. It's kind of more spread out here, but we have all the same fields. And for this one, I'm going to say it's going to be arrange catering. Obviously, it's around lunchtime where I am. So, and the yellow fields are the only mandatory ones, as is the case everywhere in Function Point. The white fields are optional. But for this one, I am going to actually assign it to Omar. And I'm going to make it, oh, it's already part of a job. I'm going to attach it to a service as well because this is going to enable him to actually track time to this task, having it attached to a service. So I'm going to say this is part of production. And you'll notice that once I assign that to Omar, I don't know if anyone caught that, the task went from the status of draft, which is what it was in originally. It automatically, when I gave it to Omar, changed to assigned. And what that's going to do is when I click submit, Omar will see this in his tasks and to-dos list. So if I put it back in draft and submitted it, he would not see that in his to-dos list. But I'm going to put it as assigned and then submit that. And now I am actually logged into Chrome as Omar. And if I refresh his dashboard, he will see that task that I added from that job details page here. And here it is, arrange catering for the promo brochure. And so now since that is attached to a service, he could track time to it if he wanted to. So if he was going to do that, he would mark it from assigned to in progress and click the clock, and then it would populate his timesheets window, and he could just put in a duration. But let's say, just for giggles, that Omar looks at this and he's like, yeah, right, Amanda, what are you smoking? That's totally not my job. I'm not going to do it. Forget it. He's going to pass the buck. So I'm going to show you how to do that in Function Point, because you may want to do that at some point. So if Omar wants to pass the buck on this task, what he can do is change the status to actually completed. And when he does that, it will ask him if he wants to pass it to someone else. And yes, he does. He's going to give it back to me wherever I am in here. And he's going to say, I'm not your secretary, period, and submit that. And so now that is off his plate. He can rest easy. And then when I go back to my dashboard and look at my to-do list, I will see that task in there when it loads. So there's my arrange catering task that Omar sent back my way because he didn't want to do it. Now, I could, like I said, track time to it at this point by marking it as in progress, clicking the clock, populating my timesheets window, and submitting it. But what if I look at this and I'm like, what the bleep? Why is that on my to-do list? I totally assigned that to Omar. What's going on? I can click the name of that task, and that will take me to my task details page where I will go to the comments tab, and I will see Omar's charming little note. And I'm like, okay, so he saw this, and he's just not going to do it. Well, that's fine. I guess I'll arrange catering. So that is an ad hoc task and how you would go about passing it off to someone else. Emma, does anyone have any questions about
I was too busy laughing to listen to any questions that people are asking. No, we have not had questions yet. We have had a couple of comments from amused attendees about, all the office drama we have and how Omar is just pure trouble. But
He's actually like really awesome, by the
he
way.
is.
I'm just being like,
You're
he
no,
totally
you're.
wouldn't. He wouldn't do that in real life, and it's really unfair of me to pick on him like
Oh,
that.
come
So
on, it's
no,
funny.
I do assign Omar tasks all the time, and he always does them, and he's
Sure,
super
sure.
cheerful about
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
So
yeah.
let me just clear that up
Backpedal,
anyway.
backpedal. Yeah, yeah. Don't worry, he can't hear you. And I'm recording this though, so if I need to blackmail you for a cake later, I've got some good recorded material. But no, well said, well explained. No questions as yet, but
Okay.
very amused on my part. So keep it up,
Okay. Well, happy to entertain you, Emma.
please do.
So, okay. Those are two ways of adding single tasks then. The quick task for stuff that may or may not be attached to a job, super quick, and the ad hoc tasks that you might want to use for something like a maintenance job. But what if I do have a pretty complex job and I want to assign a bunch of tasks for that all at the same time? Now, I'm going to use a schedule for that. So to create a schedule, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my job details page today. And I actually talked about these in quite a bit of detail in the last webinar that I went to. So, I wasn't just present there, I was actually presenting it. And yeah, I talked about those in quite a bit of detail. So you can view the recording of that on our YouTube channel if you want to learn more about schedules. I'm going to gloss over them today pretty quickly. But what I will do is go back to this Valentine's promo brochure job, and if I want to add a schedule, I can just click Add Schedule on that job details page. And by default, it's going to use my current estimate services as a template. What that means is it's going to take the services in my estimate and turn those into tasks, which I can then assign to specific people with due dates, and I can break them down into subtasks if I want to. So I'm just going to go ahead and submit that. And now I'm on my schedule details page. So to edit this, I am going to click Manage. And these are all my tasks here now. So this may be a good point to talk about assigning things to multiple people, I think, to address Eric's question. So if I wanted to, for example, assign a team of people to do research, I could do that a couple of ways. I could assign the task to a role. So maybe I want all of my studio staff to put their heads together and work on research together. I could do that. That would be one way of assigning a task to multiple people. Another way to do it would be to take the task and break it into subtasks. So maybe copywriting and editing, for example. Maybe I want someone to do the first draft and someone to do the second draft. What I can do is make subtasks there. So I'm going to click a couple of, I'm clicking the plus sign here on the right-hand side for the row for that task. And that is adding additional tasks right now. So these are just new tasks that got put in there. To make those subtasks of copywriting and editing, what I need to do is take that little gray diamond on the left and drag it in to the right. And so that makes that one a subtask of copywriting and editing, and this other one is a subtask of that as well. And I can keep doing this, so I could even make like a subtask of a subtask if I wanted to. But that's getting probably a little bit more detailed than I want to get at this moment in time, so I'm going to delete that bottom one there. But, maybe first draft, that's going to go to, maybe I'll do the first draft. Where am I? And Trevor can do the second one. And the one thing that you'll want to note here is since these are new tasks that I added, new subtasks, if I want to be able to track time to these, I need to make sure that there's a service attached to them. So these are going to be copywriting and editing tasks. So those are a couple of ways that I would go about assigning tasks to multiple people in the system. I could either break one task into subtasks and give a component of it to each person, or I could have the roles in my system structured in such a way that I could assign it to a role, and then anyone who is a part of that role would be assigned the task. So, okay, another thing about schedules. I'm going to show you my batch edit because that's another one of the nice ways that I can use this. So let's say I want to assign a bunch of these to the same person. I can select those rows on the left-hand side here and then use this blue row up at the top, and maybe I will assign those all to Alex. And now Alex populated the rest of those rows there. So it's a really nice, fast way to task things out when you're using a schedule. And if you're wondering where these hours came in from, these pulled in from the estimate. And they disappeared when I added those subtasks because it didn't want me to double count anything. So I just need to re-enter some hours in for those. And on my schedule, I can add a start date and a due date for things. I'm not going to do that for everything because I'm trying to keep things a bit quick here. So those will be my start dates. What if I want to fill out all of these rows in my schedule? I can actually, if I don't have anything selected here on the left-hand side, and I use my batch edit row, like maybe everything's going to be due on the same day, for example. Maybe it's all going to be due 3 weeks from now. If I have nothing selected, it's going to populate all of those. So making a schedule for a complex job can actually be a super quick process. And there's a lot that you can do with these. Again, if you want more detail about it, I'll encourage you to go to the recording for our last session. Bonus on that is you would actually get to witness me embarrassing myself. I have a moment where I try to do something and totally fail, and I try it like 3 times. So if you enjoy Schadenfreude.
Amanda, I am not, I have to interject. Just shush. Well, don't shush because you keep going, but woman, my keyboard and mouse die on me in webinars. You did fine, and we still figured it out. And I thought it was really good for clients to see like, hey, even we hit hiccups on occasion, and you handled it like a champ. So no more
Awesome. Okay.
self-berating about that, young lady.
Yes, ma'am.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so before I leave this page, you will notice that all of these are in draft right now. So when I did my ad hoc task and I assigned the task to Omar, it automatically changed to assigned. That doesn't happen here, and the reason that it doesn't is because with these more detailed schedules, maybe I want to start some of them right away, maybe I don't. So if I want people to actually see these in their to-do list and get started on them, I need to change that status of the task to assigned. So I'm going to use my batch edit for that as well. And I tend to be a little batch edit happy here, so just remember that you can actually change these one by one if you want to as well. So I'm going to go ahead and save and finish that. And because some of those tasks were assigned to me, I can go to my dashboard and I could track time to those if I wanted to. Any minute now. There we go. Okay, so, oh, looks like the arrange catering was the only one that was assigned to me. So, never mind. Anyway, questions, Emma? Anyone?
Oh, yes, sorry, I had to unmute myself there. Yes, we've had a couple of good questions. Let me go back to these. Heidi had a really good question, and still sort of going back and forth with her to answer that. She had asked about recurring tasks. Now, that's a question that comes up regularly. Something that I find, and Amanda, you're welcome to argue with me on this one. And I get this, and this was similar to Heidi's question. She had said, "Well, what do we do if, let's say, every week there's a client meeting or a staff meeting that everyone's coming to? How do I task everyone with that?" And advice that another onboarding consultant had said to me about that was, don't necessarily task for that, for things that aren't maybe specific calls to action for a specific person. Maybe track time to the job for things like meetings. Now, is that similar to what you advise your clients with, Amanda, when they talk about things like a
Yeah,
meeting, tracking time to a
yeah.
meeting? Okay.
Yeah, I would say just have that job there and leave that job open for as
Right.
long as you're going to be having that recurring, so people will see it in their job tile and they can just track time at that level when they need to.
Now, her follow-up question, that was a bit of advice I gave her as well, so I'm glad I'm not giving terrible advice there.
No, no.
What if it's not a meeting? What's the best way to handle recurring tasks? Now, I had suggested the copy task feature because I find
Yep.
that a pretty quick little way. It's like I need everyone to be doing, I'm not as creative as you today, XYZ, and I need everyone on the team to do it. How do I give everyone task XYZ without wanting to, having to retype it every time? Is copy test something you get into as well and show people on that kind of question?
Honestly, probably not as much as I should because
Oh,
I totally I forget about it.
oh,
But
there's a yeah.
it's a great feature.
Okay,
Um, so I've gone to my task details page here. So I did that just in case anyone missed it by clicking the name of the task in my tasks to dos list. So rather than waiting for that to load, I'm just going to go back there. So I'm on my task details page, and in my action buttons on this page, I have a copy task button. So if I want to assign this to someone else, I could copy it and then assign it to, say, Jeremy, for example, and then submit that. So that's how you copy a task. So that's a pretty fast way to do it as well.
yeah, I find that fast. I also like, and I think you were showing this as well in the schedule. The plus button is a really quick way to put multiple tasks in there, and the batch editing, of course. You could put a bunch of pluses in, I guess, and batch create. I would think. Am I talking out of
No, no,
my
no.
ear
You
there? Yeah.
definitely you
Okay.
definitely could. So I actually can access that schedule from this task details page here, and I
Fantastic.
can go to my schedule details and manage that. And so take me through that again, what you were just suggesting, Emma?
You could theoretically, like, I guess, hit the plus button a couple of times below,
Right.
wherever you want that one to be. And I'm thinking you could use, I guess
Yeah.
you can't batch title. So that's one
No.
thing. But I mean, you can copy and paste.
Everything else you can.
Yeah. So that would be a way to quickly create a very similar task for several people. Without using the copy feature would be to just, do it within the schedule. Yeah, because Amanda's just copying and pasting there. I know it's not ideal. I'm hearing from a couple of you, it's like, hey, yeah, this is great, but I'd still really like to have recurring tasks. Totally hear that. I will let the product team know that's the feedback we're receiving. And it's certainly feedback we've received before. You'd like an option to do recurring tasks. I know a lot of people would like task dependencies as well. So we're definitely hearing that. And your feedback really, really always welcome, especially when it comes to product suggestions. So apologies that we don't have a more ideal solution for you in the meantime, but hopefully these will get people through until we can offer you something a little different than what we have now. Thank you,
Sweet.
Amanda, though, for
Thanks for
showing
that,
that.
Emma.
No, no, thank you. You're the one showing it. So I appreciate that. That looks great. And keep the questions
Yeah,
coming, everyone. I know we've got a few more coming in here, but maybe I'll let you move forward, Amanda, and I'll go through these, make sure it's nothing, make sure that we can answer what we've got here and see if they're appropriate to answer while we've in the session. So,
sure. Thanks, Emma. Yeah, so I don't know if people were sort of watching what I was doing while Emma was talking because I was kind of going through that process as well. But this would be one way to do a recurring task. It was pretty quick. I just copied it and then put different due dates in for each. But like Emma was saying, we definitely do hear people's desires in that area and are very aware of them. So, okay, I'm going to switch gears a little bit now. I've talked about three different ways of creating tasks, the quick task, the ad hoc task, and the schedule. I'm going to talk a little bit now about ways to manage existing tasks, both for yourself and for your team. So in terms of managing my own tasks here at Function Point, the feature that I personally use most often is the tasks to-dos list. And I use the filter on that quite a bit as well. So I have some options in terms of what I see here, and I'll wait for that to load. So right now I'm looking at the tasks that are assigned to me. I can also see the tasks that are assigned by me. I could look at tasks that were both assigned by and to me. I could see tasks assigned to my role, to me, or my role. So if you're going to be assigning tasks on the individual level as well as on the role level, then you'll probably want to get people to filter their tasks list this way. And I can also see the ones that I have passed off to other people. So like that exchange that I did with Omar, we would see if I went to my past task history, and I had another one there as well from earlier. So that's my tasks and to-dos list. And I can manage things pretty easily from here. I can filter it, which is kind of nice. So I can filter it by title, company, due date is probably one that I would want to use pretty often. But that's really good for an individual. What if I'm a traffic manager and I don't want to just see my own tasks? I want to see what everyone else is doing. I can click this handy little arrow here in the right-hand corner, and that will take me to the full screen view of my tasks to-do list, which gives me lots more info here. So on this one, you can see I'm actually viewing tasks that have been assigned by and to a bunch of different people. And how I got there was by clicking this Select Staff button. And here I can either use my Command button to multi-select people, or I can press Shift and just select everyone. Oh, hang on, let me try that again. There we go. And then I will see everyone's tasks and to-dos list. So that's one way that you can filter this list. You can filter it in terms of who you're looking at. And then we have all those same filter options that I saw for my personal list, so by versus to, roles, history, that kind of thing. But I also have a bunch of additional filtering options here. So I can filter based on status. I can look at task type, milestone, and I've got some miscellaneous areas that I can use to filter as well. So what if, for example, I want to see all of the tasks in the system right now that are open and overdue? And since I've selected everyone, so it's going to show me this for all of my staff. So these are all my open and overdue tasks. And as you can see in this test system I have here, this is not real data, everyone, by the way. Um, we're looking pretty ugly here. So my due dates are in red. My estimated hours and my actual hours are here. And these bars here, this is showing me how much time is remaining in terms of the time that I budgeted for this task. So like I have this one task here that I've used up 90% of my time that I've allocated to it. but my percent complete row here tells me that it's only 50% done. So I'm in a little bit of trouble here in my pretend fictional environment. But that is my full screen view of the tasks to-do list. So really great one for traffic managers, this one. Any questions about this view, Emma, or the last thing I spoke about, my personal to-do list?
Hello. We haven't had questions on this exactly. We have had some really good feedback coming in, so do appreciate that. Oh, Jason. Jason's always good for question asking. And I actually don't know, as I'm about to ask you. Oh, I do know the answer. Yay. Jason has asked sorting options on this screen.
Oh, excellent. Yes, absolutely. So I can click the row, the column header to sort it in ascending or descending order. And I believe I can, oh no, I can't. I can't do multiple rows.
Yeah, not in here. That's a pain. You could do it if you did the task find, I guess, then you get the
Yes,
multiple
and
sorts,
that
but
will be the next thing that I will show
cool.
you.
I
But
have other questions though. So you show your thing and then I'll ask. So I'll be quiet.
oh, I'm just, I think this is it. So
That your
basically,
thing?
I can do ascending or descending order on any of these columns that I have in here. That's how I would sort my findings.
Fantastic. Hopefully that
Mm-hmm.
answers your question, Jason. Charlie has asked, and he said, I missed that. You know what? I missed it as well, Charlie. So thank you for asking. He asked, what's the difference again between the variance percentage and the percentage? Like the between the
Oh yes, yes.
VAR percent mark and the PRI.
Yes,
Yes,
excellent
PCT.
question. I was kind of quick on that. So this here is the green shows me how much time I have spent in relation to how much time I allocated to the task. So like for this one, I thought it was going to take 5 hours. I've spent 4.5. This is showing that to me in terms of percentage, and it's giving me a visual representation of that. For this one, it's red because I've gone over now. So I've tracked 12.5 hours to this task that was only supposed to take me 10 hours. I've spent 125% of the time that I was supposed to spend on it. This column, the percent complete column, this is how much I actually accomplished in that time. So, and actually it wasn't me, it was other fictional characters. But so spent 12 hours and change on that and only got it 80% done. That's what that means. So does that clear it up, Emma, do you think?
I think so. Christy's got a follow up to it though.
Okay.
Does the percent complete column have to manually be filled in? I
It
believe it
does.
does, yeah.
Yes, and that's a very good question. And the reason for that is because these things are not necessarily related, unfortunately, right?
That's
I mean,
right, yeah.
in an ideal world, they would be. If I had spent 70% of the time I've allocated to a task, theoretically, it should be 70% complete. But of course, in the real world, things happen. You hit roadblocks. People get sick. So maybe it's actually only 30% done. So that's why this is manual.
That makes sense to me. Let's see what else we've had come in. I think that's all I've got for now. What did I know I promised someone that I would ask. Oh, yeah. Um, got a lot of questions now. I'm having to remind myself where I saw the things. I know someone asked me something and I said I would get you to show it. And now I've totally forgotten where it was. Okay, so ignore me for now. I
Okay.
will I'll go back through my answers and figure out what I had promised someone we'd ask you to show. Oh, but I did get one more from Eric with a C. Oh, good question from Eric. Can the input, and I'm assuming he means the input you were just showing, be done by anyone or only the assignee? I think it's just the assignee, is it not?
Actually, anyone who has the permission to do it,
Ah,
because
yes, that makes
I'm
sense.
right now looking at. That's a very good question. I'm looking at tasks that are assigned by various people to various people. So I'm, not the assignee on many of these, and I can play with it to my heart's content only because I have the permission in Function Point to do that. So not everyone will have that. So that's really up to whoever your system administrator is in terms of who will
Fantastic.
be able to do this. Yeah.
That's great. And I remembered the question I said we would answer. Um, if you're going back onto the schedule at all, had a really good question come in about like, hey, what if my schedule, what if the end date or the start date suddenly changes? Do I have to change each one line by line? Um, if you could maybe,
Ah,
and it doesn't have to be now, but maybe before you wrap up, if we could show the adjust dates magic, that would be fantastic.
I'll just do it right now because
Okay.
that's my favorite button in the system. So
Oh, someone should get a prize for asking Amanda to show us her favorite button.
I'm like, oh, yay, I get to tell. Okay, so I'm back on my schedule here, and yeah, let's say this changes, like it all gets pushed out by 2 weeks. No problem. I have my favorite button, Adjust Dates here. So I can click that, and I can either adjust it from the start of the schedule or the end of the schedule. So maybe instead of starting on the 13th, it's going to start now on March 3rd. What that's going to do is it's going to take the whole schedule and just clunk it forward to March 3rd as the start date, but keeping all of the intervals that I have in there the same. So keeping all the spacing, which I love. And if I don't care that that means that things are then going to be due on weekends because now we're really rushed, I could select Saturday and Sunday there under work days, but I'm going to be nice and I'm going to give people their weekends off. And then fixed duration there, that's just, it means it keeps it the same length regardless of whether people are working weekends or not. So I'm going to click adjust dates there, and then you will see they'll all change while keeping those intervals, those original intervals that I had. So yeah, another great advantage to using schedules is being able to adjust your due dates in that way. Perfect.
That
So
is
I'm going to,
awesome. Thank you, Amanda. Thank you. Thank you.
no problem. I'm going to move on now, and we'll have some more time for questions a little bit later, but I do want to definitely get to the task find, which is another way that I can get information about who's doing what. And this lets me get just a little bit more specific, even though I was able to get quite specific in that view that I was just looking at. But let's say, for example, I want to see all the tasks that Chris has assigned to Tate, because the other view would show me all the tasks that were assigned to a specific person or by a specific person or by and to a specific person, but it wouldn't let me say, all the tasks assigned by this person to that person. So if I want to do that or do any kind of other really specific task find, I can go tasks, find task. And from here, I can find a task based on any of these criteria that I have here on this page. So I could fill out any of these or all of these. If I left this blank and I just clicked find, I would get a list of every single task in my system. But right now, I want to see all the tasks that Chris has assigned to Tate. So I'm going to, in assigned to, select Tate here, wherever he is, and assigned by Chris. And maybe I only want to see the ones that are in draft status because I'm a little bit worried that there's a lot of stuff that's kind of coming down the pipe and it's not in Tate's to-do list yet and he doesn't know about it, but maybe stuff is going to hit the fan pretty soon and it's going to get really ugly. So I want to be able to see all these and know what's happening. I'm going to click find here, and now I see all of these tasks that Chris has assigned to Tate that are in draft status. And the nice thing about this task find list is, as was pointed out earlier, I'm not sure, I don't remember who it was, but I can filter this based on multiple rows. So I can select as many of those as I want, and I can filter some of them by ascending order and some of them by descending order. If I click the arrow a couple more times, it'll disappear, so you can get rid of the filter. So yeah, you can get quite specific about that, and then you have printouts from here as well, which is really nice. So I could do just a straight printout of this list, or I could do a CSV export. You can also do the job task report, which will take those tasks and it will give you a PDF that organizes them by job. So that is our task find. Any questions about that or related stuff, Emma, before I get on to resource allocation?
Great questions. Or sorry, great. I've officially lost it. Thank you for asking. Well showed. We did have a question come in about Gantt charts. I don't know if we want to go into Gantt chart land. I responded to Jag by saying our Gantt charts, if anyone's looked at them, they are what I would fondly call old school. We know they need a makeover. And just as a sidebar here, so you can get Gantt charts from the schedule details view that Amanda was on earlier. And if you
Can.
perform the same routine basically that Amanda's done here on task, but you do it with jobs, you'll see up in the top right the ability to generate a Gantt from a job find as well. Yeah, there. I do you have anyone, Amanda, that's like smitten kitten for the Gantts? I haven't worked with any clients who really seem to rely on us for the Gantt charts. I think everyone realizes that ours are
I
definitely
actually
needing
no.
some
I
love.
spoke to someone. I've spoken to a couple people who are kind of excited about them.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
good. I mean, it's good they're there. They function. They're just not great looking.
If you are like a Gantt aficionado, then
Yeah.
you'd be totally in love with it. But
Right.
it,
If you've left the year 1990, you may not adore them, but they are there. So yeah, Amanda, thank you for just sort of pointing out a couple of ways we could get them there. The schedule details page and from the job find. Jags just sent a little follow-up note here. So he hasn't looked at them yet, but it's something that he often shares and refers to with his clients. Do take a look at them, Jag. Again, schedule details pages, you'll be able to generate one from there. And from the job find, you can generate a Gantt from a list of jobs that you find in your system as well. Yeah,
yeah,
there's. Thank you,
maybe
Amanda, for
I'll
pointing
I'll
that out.
I'll show it to people.
Okay, there you
That's
go.
okay. That's okay.
That's
It's
not
fine.
terrible. I guess I shouldn't give it such a hard time.
No, it could. It's it's a little basic, but it's a Gantt chart.
It serves its purpose.
That's right.
Okay. Well,
So
hopefully that
okay,
addresses that. But otherwise, you've been doing great, and people have gone a little bit quiet on me, but that's okay. So feel free to keep the questions coming, and Amanda, you keep at it.
okay. So there's really just one more thing that I want to address before we open it up to any final questions, and that's the resource allocation. Now, I did speak about this at length in my last session, but I do want to address it again just because it is a really good way to manage people's workloads, and it's something that you're going to want to be keeping an eye on if you're assigning a lot of tasks. So where you access that is from this tasks module to resources link right here. And this shows me how much time people have to do the tasks that I've assigned to them and how much time they have left for additional tasks. So these gray areas, these are representations of time that they have available, so not yet allocated. Green, this is time that has been allocated. So I could click that and I could get details about what those tasks are if I want. Red, that's time that's over allocated. So poor Samson here is a little bit overburdened. I've given him too much to do. So maybe I want to extend his due dates on some of those tasks there. I can click those colored areas, and instead of being due on February 14th, those are going to be due on March 6th, why not? And March 11th. And then I'll submit those. And now Samson's looking a little more relaxed. So now he's got those tasks due here. Other thing that I want to tell you about resource allocation is, right now I'm filtered to look at actuals. So I'm only seeing the tasks that are actually on people's plate. But if I select all, I will also see the draft ones, which can be kind of handy. So I'm going to submit that. And if I scroll down now, I'll start to see some yellow and some orange. And the yellow, this is time, these are tasks that people do have time to do, but they're still in draft. And the orange, that's stuff that people don't have time to do, that hasn't yet been assigned to them. So Sarah has 28 hours worth of tasks in draft that she doesn't have time to do. So whoever was planning out that schedule probably needs to revisit that and maybe give those tasks to someone else. So that's the resource allocation. Any questions about that or anything else I've
Yeah.
covered so far?
I'm really glad you showed that because that question had come up earlier and I had just typed an answer. So hopefully that has given a good visual to the person who asked about resources, how they could see forecasted and just choosing from that drop down menu up there. Another question that came in from Ryan as Levi barks like a mad dog in the background. I don't know what's happening. Um, Ryan had asked, hey, is there a way that I can divide the task up between a Monday and a Tuesday, etc. For now, tasks do backfill from the due date. It's something we do here. I don't know if you, Amanda, hear of clients
Mm-hmm.
from saying they'd like to see more flexibility there. I know I do. And so the product team is really well aware of that. Something I've typed to a few people I know is I've said, hey, our product team actually really does listen to the feedback from the clients. And I mean that with all sincerity. They really do take that information into account. And I've seen lots of examples where a client said to me, hey, I really want XYZ. We tell the product team, and within a couple of months, if it's reasonable and we can do it and it makes sense, we do it. So feel free to keep the product suggestions coming in to whoever you're working with closely at Function Point right now, or in the community help section, you can actually sign up to be a part of the community help group and put feature requests in there. And then the product team are truly looking at that information. We've had a few more questions come in just as I've been blathering there.
All
Good one
right.
that came in from Catherine. Can you get reminders for your tasks? That's a great one.
Mm. Yes, you can if your notifications are set up for that. So um, your subscriptions, your alert subscriptions, I can just show those to you really quickly. Actually, sorry, manage alert subscription sets in here. And so let me look at my subscriptions for,
You're good.
say, account executives. Now, I'm not going to get into too much detail about these. I think we might be doing some more admin-related web. Do we have an admin webinar later for
We
the
don't
office
have
I sit in?
we don't have a specific one on admin. I mean, I do an admin one every Thursday that goes into the
Okay.
admin section. Anyone's welcome to join that, or if they've got admin related questions, I'd say look in the help section or reach out to me or to our support team. We can always answer any specifics about that.
Right. Okay. So Emma she will go into more detail about this stuff in those areas. But for now, to address that question, I'm in my alert subscriptions area, and under tasks, I can select whether I want to be notified, say, for example, when a task is due tomorrow, or when a task is due today, or when a task is overdue. And I can say, I want to be emailed about that, or I want to have an in-system alert about that. So, I mean, it's a little bit limited in terms of you can't say, oh, I want to be notified like a week beforehand, but you can have it set up so that you could get an email the day before every task is due. And also, if it's due today, and if it's overdue, you can also have an email sent to you when you're supposed to start a task, which is good because we were able to assign that start date as well as end dates to tasks. So if you plan things out really well and you stick to those start dates, then you should be pretty good to go. Other questions, Emma?
Yes, I feel badly because Jason had asked something and then we moved away from the page right as he was asking. I think it was back on the resources link. Yeah, if you could go back there. Jason says you were hovering over Sarah and seeing like the 28 hours of draft.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So he was asking about that hover over and what he's seeing there. Um, I think that's it really is just what it is. It's just hovering over saying if you were to land that forecasted work, she would be over allocated by
Right.
28 hours.
Yes.
And how, okay, I see. Jason, you're asking right as I'm answering. This is fantastic. He's saying, how can all four colors exist on one day? It's magic. Um, do you want to answer that? I can answer that, whatever you prefer.
Sure. So Sarah has 8 hours available, right? And she has four, I think, it's hard for me because it's pretty small. A couple of those hours are tasked in terms of an assigned task. So these are assigned. The other four she has time to do, but they're in draft. And then the red, she doesn't have time to. So this is like over and beyond the 8 hours that she has to do the work at this point. And then this is even over and beyond that in terms of draft tasks. Emma, maybe you can put this a little bit better because I feel like I'm losing my powers of speech here.
You're doing great. Let me just answer one thing for Chris. Chris had reached out saying that, not our Chris, a different Chris, saying, hey, he has to take off, or maybe a she, I should say. Will this be available later? Yes, we are recording this, and this will be available online later today or tomorrow. If you're in your FP system, hover over Help, choose What's New, and that's going to take you to all the latest, greatest recording. There's a cheat sheet that's going along with today's session. All this stuff is listed in date order. Thank you so much, Amanda, for navigating that way. So it'll be posted here it'll have today or tomorrow's date, and it'll be at the top of the page. And you can see on January 30th there's the stuff from opening a job. And the stuff that you and I did last week should be up there too. So I'm not sure where that recording link is. Maybe I failed to put it in. But this will all be up later today. So thank you for that, Chris. And if you need to take off, off, by all means. We understand. Thanks for joining us. Back to resource allocation. You lost the power of speech. I was listening, though. How can you have all four colors on one day? Because she's showing the resources all. There's the there's the quick answer, and she can
Yeah.
have all. There's I mean, I think what you were answering, it's probably more what Jason was after, though. Um, because all those things are backfilling as well. Like, um, Sarah there is looking very over allocated because it's stuff that's in Amanda's system that's just not been cleared out, which is we're all guilty of in our test systems and probably guilty
Hmm.
of in a few real systems as well. But hopefully that's answering your question, Jason. Sorry. Oh, okay. Let me see.
Okay,
Wouldn't,
while you're
wouldn't,
looking at those, maybe one more thing
yeah,
I want to point out about that, Emma, is
yeah.
this sort of thing where you see these red bars building up. This is one reason why you really do want to be tracking your time, because if you are consistently tracking time and marking tasks as completed when they are completed, this shouldn't happen. You shouldn't see stuff getting, piling up at the beginning like this. Because I've done a lot of demos and webinars, et cetera, where I've been assigning tasks and not necessarily always tracking time to them or marking them as complete. That's why it's looking so ugly here. So yeah, sorry, go ahead, Emma.
No, no, you're good. Jason, I think I understand what you're asking, and apologies if Amanda and I are both not doing a wonderful job of answering. Um, it's not a matter of in this view that one thing outweighs another. So it's not that the allocated real green should have more power or supersede, to use Jason's word, the stuff that's in draft. It really is just a view here. We're not sort of seeing what has more weight or what should be prioritized. This is more of a way to look at your team and with the forecasted stuff to say, holy smokes, if we land all that work down the road that we've sort of built out just in case, we're going to be really over allocated or we're going to be okay. And so we've put those four colors in place to try to give you the ability to sort of see into the future a bit. Jason, if I really had, if we fail to answer your question or if you're finding resource allocation just not making sense, do reach out. I'm happy to do have a chat about that anytime. Same for everyone else. There you go.
Thank you for clearing that up for me,
Well, I
Emma.
don't know if
Much
I did.
appreciated. I think you did. I think you did. So that was everything that I had on my agenda to cover today. Do we have any other questions before we should close things up?
We do. Just got a good
Okay.
one in from Charlie. And Charlie, you had asked a question earlier as well, and I wrote back saying I wasn't sure where you're referring to, so my apologies for not understanding the question. And here, his follow up. So Charlie is asking on the dashboard, if an employee is looking at their task list, it doesn't always display in the order he wants them to work on their work. And is there a way for him to prioritize that list for their staff? And I regret that that's, unless Amanda's going
Mm,
to correct me, that would be a not right now. No. No,
no.
actually, I think you can change the sort there, but I mean, your staff member would do that for themselves. It isn't something that Charlie would be able to say, hey, when you're looking at your task list, I want you to see it in this order, correct?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So apologies for that. I can see how that would be a good thing to have, and it's something I'll let the product team know that you've provided as feedback. But yeah, for now, um, and Amanda, you can interrupt me or disagree with me here. What I found works well is that when you are rolling this out to your team and encouraging them to be logging in, teaching them how you want them to use the system, to maybe say to them, hey, always be sorting this task and to-dos by assigned to me and what's open or in progress, or you could encourage them to say, hey, look at what's due in the next 7 days, or change the instruct your team how you see best for them to be viewing this. So yeah, the due soon, I know that's where our Chris always has his filter to just show what's due in the next 7 days. So maybe explore the options there and the views and direct your team accordingly. But for now, they've
Sure.
got the option to see it in a few different ways, I'm afraid. But good feedback, good question.
Yeah, and that's all really good advice, Emma. One thing that I wanted to also suggest there is what you could do is use the task find and
Oh
produce a
yeah.
personalized task report for each person. So maybe, if I'm always assigning a priority to tasks, so if you are wanting to make sure that people are doing things in order of priority, that's something that you'll be wanting to do is to always assign a priority to your tasks because you can, of course, do that. Then you can go to your task find, look for all of the tasks assigned to a particular person, and maybe I just want to find the active ones. And then you can sort them in order of priority. And I don't actually have any priorities assigned to mine, so this is a terrible example. But if I did, I could sort them in order of priority, produce a printout of that that would be sorted in that way, and then I could plop that down on Emma's desk and be like, look, this is how you're doing it. So,
Yep.
if I really wanted to see, I'm sorry, Emma, I am
No, that is
multitasking.
awesome. That had not occurred to me, and that makes a lot of sense. And I know we do have clients who do that, so I'm glad you pointed that one out. And Charlie even gave us a cool, so hey,
Excellent. I
yeah,
love it when people think things I do are cool.
me too. All right, well, that is awesome. I mean, we went way, I thought we would go maybe half an hour, 45 today, but we are almost at the top of the hour. So thanks everyone for sticking with us here.
Thank
Um,
you.
what we'll do, I guess what I'll do, Amanda, is I will take the presentation powers away. I will make myself the presenter again.
Please do.
You're off the hook there. Show my screen now. I just want to confirm I'm showing the Visit FP Help screen and not my screen with all my junk on it.
Right.
Okay, thank goodness. So everyone, please be encouraged to keep asking questions. We'll leave the webinar open for another good probably 10 minutes, and you can type your questions in. Outside of this webinar, please, by all means, in your FP system, go to the help section. There are lots of documents, videos, webinars, recordings, all kinds of stuff back there. There is also a community forum that I encourage you to read, participate in, sign up to be a part of. Ask questions, answer questions, make feature requests. Happy to see them. Next week, this time next week, or an hour, this time next week, less an hour. It is going to be Oh Portal, Where Art Thou? A session all about using the FP portal. That's going to be myself co-piloting with Daniel, our resident Australian. So I'll be making fun of him a lot. So if for no other reason, just to hear me make fun of the Australian, please sign up and join us for that one. We do have an FP blog that we encourage you to be reading and participating in. Of course, you can find us on Facebook and Twitter and Pinterest and all these cool social media sites. I like our Facebook page because we have pet photos. So we have our very own FP Pets album. If you have pets, send us your pictures. You will have some stiff competition for cutest pet because there is a hairless cat out of Boston that wears cashmere sweaters that I'm a little bit in love with. So go and check out those pictures of Colbert the cat, my parents' dog, and its really poorly knitted sweaters, and all the other pets. So as I digress into Petland there, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Amanda, for all your hard work
Thank
there.
you,
That was,
Emma.
no, no, you did fantastic. And everyone, keep the questions coming if you got them for the next 10 or 15. I'll leave the webinar open. Otherwise, we'll stop talking and I'll stop
Okay.
recording. And thanks again, everyone.
Bye, everyone.